We're running out of time, so let's march on. I'm now going to call upon Leah Zinder, who does not need any introduction. I know when people were phoning to book for this evening, they said, we're coming to the Leah show, the Leah talk. We come to your Leah. So, it's true.
It's not true.
Well, I haven't heard of these guys. I haven't heard of these guys. I heard of you. I'll hear of them tonight. So Leah, without any further ado, we've worked together on projects in the past. It's always a pleasure, really. So thank you for being with us. And I also, because I didn't mention earlier, I want to thank all the volunteers, all of you who have been wonderful today to put this all together, to help with the tables and everything. So thank you. Leah, all yours.
Thank you very much, Dave. And thank you, these beautiful young people. I think we need to clone you and we'll solve our Hasbara problems pretty quickly. The truth is, we are facing a monumental problem, as you said, in the world. I think it's an existential problem for the state of Israel, and one that is not being faced adequately. And I'm not talking about the gentlemen here on the stage beside me who are devoting their passion, their energy, their intellect to trying to do something about it, but I am talking about our government. The fact is, I think we've lost the campuses, certainly in Europe. Some of you may have seen the report I did. I went to 7 countries in Europe, visited campuses, spoke to politicians, spoke to Jewish communities there. We've lost the campuses. The Palestinian narrative has taken over the media, certainly the social media, has taken over the campuses, and we're talking about the next generation of the European elite, of European leaders. They are coming out of those universities with one clear image of Israel as an apartheid state, as a repressive regime. Zionism is no longer considered legitimate. And some of the students said that. When they talk about being Jewish, certainly when they talk about being Zionist, they have to talk in a whisper, because they're afraid and because they're ashamed. It's no longer legitimate to call yourself a Zionist in Europe today. In America, I think the situation's better, but it's very worrying. I don't know about Australia. I do know that the Sydney Student Council voted to boycott all cooperation with the Technion because they say they collaborate with Israel's defense establishment. We all heard about Stephen Hawking, who succumbed to Palestinian pressure and is refusing to come to the Paris conference. Shimon Peres, of all people. Actually, somebody said Hawking should be consistent and stop using the chip that allows him to communicate with the world because it was developed by Intel. And that is the situation in the world today. And make no mistake about it, this is not about the territories. This is not about left and right. The alliance between the human rights groups and the radical Islamists is aimed at the existence of the state of Israel. They don't want us within the 67 borders. They don't want us here at all. And of all people, is Norman Finkelstein, you probably heard that, the radical anti-Israel critic, one of the fiercest critics in the world, who said in an interview at Cambridge, he said, at least be honest, come right out and say it. You don't want Israel. That's what it's all about. I'm also going to be playing the devil's advocate here tonight, maybe the angel's advocate. It's up to you to decide. And I'm going to ask the distinguished panelists, are we sometimes mistaking legitimate criticism for anti-Semitism, for Israel bashing? How can we call it anti-Semitism when some of the leaders of the Boycott Israel movement, the BDS movement, are Israelis and Jews? Are we so used to playing the victim that we are unwilling or unable to see ourselves in any other light? And do we need to change our mindset? And do we need to clear up our narrative in order to convince the world of our justice? I am going to introduce each one of the distinguished members of the panel, and each one of them will then give a presentation, and after that we'll get down to brass tacks and start the discussion. And first, alphabetically, Trevor Asserson is the founding partner of the Asserson Law Offices, Israel's largest foreign law firm, which gives advice on matters of English law, especially in the fields of disputes, UK property and company law. Trevor is recognized as one of the leading litigation solicitors in the UK. He was the founder of BBC Watch, which has published a number of influential reports relating to BBC coverage of the Middle East, and has published and spoken widely on the subject of media bias. Trevor Asserson, please.